Starbucks just reported their quarterly earnings, and revenues beat Wall Street estimates. The company's same-store sales rose 8%, fueled by higher average checks and a 3% increase in customer traffic to its stores. The coffee giant U.S. locations also outperformed analyst expectations. Now, this is the monthly chart, and if we look at the most recent highs and lows, it gets us to about 116 on the top side and $68 on the downside, which happens to be the May 2022 lows. Now, scrolling down to the weekly chart, we can see that because of the great earnings, price gapped higher, also invalidated the downtrend that was started back in May of this year, as price was making lower highs and lower lows. However, again, the gap higher invalidates this downtrend, and right now we have a sideways price action taking place right now. Before we continue with the analysis, let's watch this video in which Jim Cramer discusses the Q4 results with the CEO at Starbucks.
This is the most exciting time I can recall in years for Starbucks, and it starts on a terrific day at the stores.
Think about it, Jim. Thank you, by the way, for having me on. Today's the day all our stores in many countries turned red. I started in a store at 6 a.m. The backdrop was red, the aprons were red. Today's the day we start holiday, and we share the joy. And do you know the flavor for the season for us?
Well, I just finished pumpkin, so give it to me.
Pumpkin may still be available for you, but the flavor of the season, Jim, is gingerbread. Gingerbread chai, a big recommendation. I know you're a triple venti cappuccino with skim milk guy. You're going to try. It's
pretty amazing you do know my trick.
But, you know, gingerbread chai. And in some places, you've got to call it gingerbread chai tea latte. I get a lot of mail about this. Don't call it chai tea, but it's gingerbread chai.
Okay, I wanted to start with that because you are a product guy and a person who knows what people love. But you also know what people love worldwide. That's why, in many ways, I think you're unique. You know what people like, say, in Italy.
In Italy, can you imagine this? First of all, the genius of Howard Schultz. He goes there, sees the spirit of Italy, and he brings it to the U.S. and introduces Americans to the routine of Italian coffee. Then we gingerly go back to Italy, and he creates this temple, the Milan Roastery. It's an incredible temple to coffee, and it's stunning the way it does. I went there, and I was completely blown away by how good it was. Then we go even more gingerly, saying, you know, maybe not. We've opened 20 stores in Italy. Do you know the number one SKU there? The espresso. The espresso at a Starbucks in Italy.
So if I have a Starbucks in many different countries, I may find the best of what that country does at Starbucks.
Completely. You know, we buy coffee from over 500,000 farmers all over the world. And when you go to that country, you will find coffee from that country as well, if they grow it.
Now, let's talk China for a second. I know that you've done backward integration with China in terms of roastering. And I think that's very important because a lot of people are saying, wait a second, China, I'm worried. But are the Chinese against someone who is by China for China?
Well, first of all, China is a tea-drinking country. When we went there in 1999, Howard went there. And he said, I'm going to commit to building the specialty coffee industry there. So what are we doing now? We are helping them grow coffee in Yunnan. We just opened this big factory. It's the best and most advanced, most green factory you can think of, with a very advanced distribution center. It ensures freshness of products. And after 24 years, we've moved the per caps to 12 cups per person. So think of it. Japan's at 280, and the US is at 380. If you go to Shanghai, it's somewhere between 100 and 150. And the reason it's that high in Shanghai is because there are 1,150 Starbucks in Shanghai. And just so you know, I think there's potential in Shanghai for us.
Can you double what you have in China and still not sate the market?
We've only said that we would grow to 9,000 by the end of 25. And I'll tell you this, that is just a milestone. There are 3,000, provincial cities, as they would call it. We're only in 500, going to 800 soon. There's a city in a province called Anhui. It's called Tongcheng. It has a population of 700,000 people. There's no Starbucks in there, and there'll be one in 2024.
That's incredible.
So
Now,
I think this is one where we can actually continue to grow. You know, we have 440 stores in Guangzhou, and we only have 365 stores or so in India.
well, you're familiar with the Indian market. I mean, theoretically, once you convince people of how great triple ventes are, that could what, go 10x?
I think, to me, when I think about what we're saying internationally, is the opportunity is really large. We think that we could be over 55,000 stores. We're going to be opening 3 out of 4 stores outside of the U.S., but that doesn't take away from the opportunity we have in the U.S.
Well, let's talk about that, because there were people who said, wait a second, they missed the number. I think you missed the number probably by 10 cups of coffee, eight last time. But I care about consistency, and you know that. To me, the place that needs more Starbucks is the place where I always have to be in a line, which is the United States. Can you solve that problem, a throughput problem? By the way, an ice problem for when I get my mid-morning or afternoon Starbucks.
So, by the way, first of all, I'm really glad to know that at 10 a.m. you're now onto iced, Jim.
I have to.
That's what all the younger consumers are doing, and I'm really glad to see that you're doing it too. Well, if you look at demand in the U.S., the demand in the U.S. is very strong for us, and we're doing everything we can to ensure that we meet it. How are we doing that? Well, first of all, we are really investing in the operational foundation in our stores. And we've made great progress over the course of the last year. Fixing the processes, bringing in equipment like the portable cold foam blender, working and reworking, how we do drive-throughs, drive-through times coming down, and also working on staffing and scheduling. Now, you've been a restaurant owner, so you know how important that is. And if you just look at wages, and you look at hours, the average barista at a Starbucks today versus a year ago is making 20% more. What that's doing for us, it's bringing more stability into our operations. Our tenure is going up, has gone up 16% over the course of the last year. So by bringing stability, by bringing operating consistency and discipline in the stores, and by bringing in equipment and accelerating renovations, we're going to be accelerating renovations as well as part of our plan. But it doesn't take away from new stores. We're going to build new stores too. And these stores are going to be purpose-defined. So by 2025, 40% of our delivery volume will come from delivery-only stores. It takes away that operation.
You are going to do this. I thought that was in the agenda a few years ago. It seemed to have been left by the wayside.
Well, COVID does a lot. And I think what we're doing now is you've got to appreciate that, we're committed to doing this. And we're going to build purpose-defined stores here in the U.S. Plus, in the U.S., you go to smaller towns and medium-sized towns, and you see the migration of people. We are not saturated in America, Jim.
Okay, so Starbucks is a huge position for my charitable trust, and one of the reasons why we do
appreciate that interest.
Of course, sir, of course, is that we like the consistency of your actual numbers. Now, I want to be sure, there was a sense from some of the analysts that you did lower your numbers from when we talked with your company last September. I think what you did was make it so that you have reasonable numbers that won't be in the way.
Correct. I think what we've done is, first of all, we delivered this year at 12% growth, 14% without Forex. With a 20% growth in EPS. That's for FY23. It was the top end of our range.
Right.
As we look into this year, FY24, our comps are 5 to 7%. Our growth is 10 to 12%, which is what we had said last year. And the earnings growth is 15 to 20%. We see a more balanced way to go because we clearly see opportunities with efficiency in addition to the growth. So it's a balanced way for us to essentially establish what the targets are for next year.
Okay.
Now, as I look really long term, what we want to do is set an algorithm out there. See, that's a long-term growth. We'll set expectations every year. And what we are building this company to, with the momentum it has, with the strength it has, with the power of this brand, is we're building a business that in the long term will have a comp of 5% or greater, we'll have 10% or greater, and we'll have an earnings growth of 15% or greater. And every year, we will set guidance as it comes.
Okay, now those numbers are important for people, but you know what might be also important, and you might be uncomfortable with this because you speak of we and partners, but you yourself, your background is unique for this. You are a perfect ambassador for a company like Starbucks. You're a person of the world. You have a great background. Can you just give us a sense of who you are to lead Starbucks?
Well, first of all, my wife would be upset if I told you this, but I will. We are now in our 25th home in 30 years of marriage. And part of it is because we've had a very global career. Right. So we've lived all over. I come from India. I've clearly, I came here to this country with nothing. 2 suitcases and a pressure cooker because my mother thought I wouldn't eat well. And, it's a real privilege to lead Starbucks and to lead the 460,000 people from around the world. I've lived and worked pretty much all over the place. 19 years as an advisor and consultant. I went to PepsiCo for 7 years, right. Variety of different markets. I was at Reckitt for north of 3 years. And then from London, I moved to Seattle. The weather's similar, but this is an incredible brand.
You also seem to be as home with consumer packaged goods and coffee as also technology. You've got a bit of the technologist in you, and that's going to be very important, whether it be through throughput or what the stores look like, or just kind of staying on top of things.
Our business is not just a physical business. It's also a digital business. We connect with our customers digitally. One of the things we announced today is, we have 75 million customers that buy us over a 90-day period. But the number of people that we connect with is almost 3 times that. Now, what we have is a remarkable ability for us to actually advance that. So what we've said today is we're going to double the number of the Starbucks Rewards members over the course of the next 5 years.
But can you do that? Do you know that the consumer is strong enough to do that, the consumer worldwide?
But, you see the growth rate in China, 22 million on Starbucks Rewards, and it's grown double digits. If you look at the Starbucks Digital Solutions, which is our platform globally, we're building this platform globally along with our partners. They are coming to the app. They are coming to our rewards program, and it gives us a great base of knowledge and insights. Now, that's not just enough. As I get back into how we think about the partner experience and the customer experience, we've always been at the leading edge in terms of technology. Now, with this generational change that's taking place, we have sped up our launches of features. It's now every 2 weeks. Second, we are working with some of the technology pioneers on how we bring Gen AI into our business. Over the last 5 years, we built our own AI and machine language platform, machine learning platform, which is called Deep Brew. We're going to power our Deep Brew with Gen AI to take what customers might think about in terms of products and trends, bring it into how customers order, help the barista build it, and then link it to marketing. So the marketing that we do basically closes the loop.
That's perfect.
We're doing that. In addition to that, we're working, with Apple products.
Apple?
In an innovation store, yes.
With the Vision Pro, which...
No, with a bunch of the actual products that you use, the iPad, the iPro, and so on, in stores to help us improve the partner experience.
Excellent.
With Gen AI, we're collaborating with Microsoft. We have a deep partnership with Microsoft. We're bringing them in. And on payments, we've been working with Amazon. And so we're going to continue to extend the experience about how you walk off, without having to go through checkout and the like with automated
It's a sensational story. Now, are you satisfied with the reinvention as it's going right now?
I think I am. I think we are ahead of plan on reinvention. Okay. And what we've done now is we've triple-shotted it. So the triple-shot reinvention, and by the way, like a Starbucks order, it's got 2 pumps. So the triple-shot reinvention is about brand, elevating the brand. It's about digital, scaling and strengthening digital. It's about global. We just talked about the fantastic opportunity for global. Now, but we need 2 pumps because it's a classic Starbucks order. So the first pump is efficiency.
Right.
We talked about the 3 billion efficiency program. And the most important pump of all is the partner culture. We've done a great job in terms of rolling out our mission, our promises, our values to our partners. We live our life through our partners and through their eyes. And so it's really important that we reinvigorate that too.
All right, well, that's a great way to end it. That's Laxman Narasimhan. He's the CEO of Starbucks. And now I will treat you to a gingerbread chai. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So as I discussed before the video, this was the gap higher on Thursday. And then on Friday, we had another green day. And what's also important to notice is that price closed above the 200-day moving average, although you did have a def cross that occurred back in July. As you can see, we have the momentum moving averages. This is the 13 and the 26 starting to point up. You also have the 50-day moving average kinking up as well. So how far can price go? Well, the first test is going to be this 104 level, which is why price pulled back from near the day's highs. So beyond that, based on this momentum, I think price is going to move higher. This was that level we saw on the monthly chart. You have a gap fill. Let's zoom out to the weekly. Yeah, at the moment, I'm going to say that we have to look at this level. We can't ignore this level. And it's not the best of levels. However, what you can see is you have a drop in price, two basin candles and a drop. So that's a leg in, basin candles, a leg out. Price tried to come back to that area but couldn't, and then fell down. So this level is valid where sellers are waiting for price. We're going to say that's the 10. We'll call it the 106 level. So if you happen to get in near the lows in September at $90, it's not a bad opportunity to take some off the table now, or roughly $5 higher. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Please like the video.